Several of you have sent me this article from the Wall Street Journal's magazine. It's called Smart Money. And they have a website, smartmoney.com. I am a Smart Money subscriber. It's one of the magazines I recommend to you boys who want to learn how to start investing. It's a good one to get started on. It's easy to understand. Doesn't make you feel like a dope, though. And for those of you who call me all the time and say, why do you insist on prenups? What's the big deal? Those of you who are in lust and you think it's love and you want to get married to your high school sweetheart and it's the most perfect, wonderful love that's ever been invented. You guys are the perfect couple and you will be the perfect couple till the end of time. And at your wedding, when you're 21 years old, you'll be freeing the doves and you'll be drinking champagne and riding around in the wedding limousine. And you're just going to be happy ever after because you two love each other so much. It's just the most amazing love. Love like nobody else has ever known in the entire history of love. It's just an amazing love, a love that will live forever. That's you, right? So why would you need a prenuptial agreement? You lovebirds. All right, boys, listen up. This is from Smart Money magazine. It's called Women Are Seeing More Parity in Divorces. Parity, they call it. So you know there's some chick in there who's an editor. There it is. In the not-too-distant past, Joe Cooper-Ellis, that's trouble right there when they've got a hyphenated last name, Joe Cooper-Ellis's divorce from husband Peter might have netted her the house and some paltry monthly payments. But in the are you listening, boys? This is very important. In the 21st century, the math of divorce is drastically different. In court in Vermont, Joe not only won $10,000 a month in alimony and child support, but also, pay attention to this, please, Peter's entire retirement portfolio and $1.2 million worth of his unvested stock options at the software company where he's an executive. Granted, it says here, Peter won't need reservations for the poorhouse. He commands a salary in the mid-six figures. Still, he's going through post-divorce financial trauma. He says, they took my retirement, my pension, my 401k, and all the cash. I didn't even think that was a possibility. For as long as divorce has existed, men have griped about their divorce settlements. But in reality, they've typically come out far ahead financially. No longer. Boys, are you paying attention to this? Let me read that last line again for emphasis so you hear it. For as long as divorce has existed, men have griped about their divorce settlements. Well, in reality, it says here, they've typically come out far ahead financially. No longer. Today, women are closer than ever in achieving what they're calling parity, and then some. Thanks to shifting cultural attitudes and a judicial sea change, courts are putting a higher price tag on what the non-working or lower-earning spouse, usually the wife, contributes to the marriage. Judges are granting more alimony, putting more assets in play, and increasingly requiring husbands to pay their wives' legal fees. And for men who expected something more favorable, the experience is about as uncomfortable as a colonoscopy. As Washington, D.C. Attorney Sanford Ain observes, the husbands are more nervous and the women are more confident. From the woman's side of the negotiating table, the response, understandably, is, it's about time. Statistics have long shown that divorce is an economic catastrophe for women, especially mothers with dependent kids, which gives you an idea of how much money women spend. Because if women were doing great when they were married and suddenly it's an economic catastrophe, clearly it's because they're continuing to spend, but they don't have the income they had before when daddy was going out and making all the money. It says here, today there's greater recognition of the economic value of stay-at-home motherhood and of the sacrifices women make when they stop working. Women who do work outside the home still make only 74 cents for every dollar men earn. Jesus, stop quoting that inaccurate figure that is based on very bad mathematics, and we've talked about that many times. It says here only 12% of wives make substantially more than their husbands. Well, and those women are hideous. Just tell the truth. So it's no surprise that it's still the man writing the checks in most divorces. But guys, some guys being blindsided by how much bigger those checks have become. The shift in split-up economics has its roots in the 1980s, when academics began focusing on the divorce wealth gap, noting that after divorces, men's net worth typically rose while women's dropped. Yeah, my net worth has gone up every time I've gotten a divorce. Because I'm making less car payments, because I'm not paying for groceries, because I'm not paying the same amount for utilities, because I'm not spending the same amount going out to restaurants or going on vacations. I'm not spending the same amount on gifts to family members I don't know and will never meet. Of course my net worth is going up. And of course her net worth is going down, because now she has to reach down into her purse and pay for all that stuff, whereas before all her money was mad money. Of course that makes sense that a man's net worth goes up and a woman's goes down after divorce. You bet it does. Which is why you should never get married in the first place, because women drag your net worth down. That is what they do. It says here, such research helped push states to adopt the equitable distribution statutes laws that make most marital property subject to division, even if it's held in the husband's name. As a younger generation of judges came to the bench, the judiciary began to embrace the idea that the existing system was unfair and to change the rules accordingly. In past years, for example, courts would look the other way as husbands starved out their wives by cutting off funds, leaving them unable to pay for counsel. Judges would award women as little as $75 for legal fees, barely enough for a consultation with the cheapest attorney in the phone book. These days, wives get much more ammunition, with court-awarded fees sometimes reaching 7 figures. That's 7 figures for your soon-to-be ex-wife to pay her attorney to screw you. More important, equitable distribution laws open the door for courts to consider a wide range of assets, stock options, future earnings, privately held businesses, as shared marital, quote-unquote, property. Courts have also recognized that homemakers earning disadvantages often hurt them later in life because they contribute less to retirement plans and the Social Security system. Why don't they just put a little money away? Why don't they get a prenup and demand a certain salary for running the home? Because then we would see what whores many women are. And then we would see how marriage is just legalized prostitution for so many of you girls. Women don't want to put a dollar value on this. They want to say it's priceless until they get a divorce. Then they put a dollar value on it. Says here, that's why in many contemporary cases, the biggest assets under dispute are sitting in 401k plans and IRAs. In 2006, the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers reported that almost 80% of its members saw an increase in prenuptial agreements in the previous 5 years, a predictable response to ballooning divorce settlements. Prenups can often become power plays that let the richer man keep the upper hand. But the best and fairest agreements allow spouses with deep pockets to protect assets they cherish while still providing security for the one in the supporting role. It's increasingly common for prenups to stipulate that payouts increase with the length of the marriage, by which time the lesser-earning partner has proven to be more than a gold digger. Right. In theory, good prenups also ensure that wrangling over money won't add to the emotional strain of a divorce. For similar reasons, mediation is an increasingly popular alternative to litigation. By the end of a divorce negotiation, says Manhattan attorney William Beslow, husband and wife are, quote, like fighters coming out for the 15th round, too weary to throw another punch, or they're happy to have some kind of contract in place to stop the fight. The message you boys need to be getting out of this article is this. Women are getting more and more in divorces, and they're getting things you never even thought somebody would fight for. They're getting your Social Security that you'll get paid after you're 65 or 67 years old. They're getting your 401k. They're getting your IRA. They're getting your pension. Not to mention that they're getting your stock options. They're getting half or more of your businesses. They're getting your real estate. They're getting everything you have. You at the very least need a prenup. But of course, I continue to say this story only strengthens my resolve that you can't get married, boys. You cannot get married because this is what you're facing.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
How's it swinging?
Not swinging right now, just kind of hanging flaccid right now.
The Tom Leykis Show.
From Hollywood at 1-800-5800-TOM. So I read the article from Smart Money, boys. Brendan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Doing great.
You know, I have a question. I'm glad you brought this whole subject up. I'm right in the middle of kind of getting into, like, a little business adventure with my father. What happened was me and my brother bought some commercial property, and we're kind of been sitting on it, and we're ready to try to develop it, but my brother's kind of made some other choices in his life financially. So I was thinking about bringing my father on board on the title and trying to develop that way because I don't think I can probably qualify for a construction loan. And I was just kind of curious because he's kind of hung up on getting married and his whole thing. He's late 50s, going into his 60s. He doesn't want to die alone, this whole thing. But his relationships have never really worked out.
Well, you either have to insist that he has a prenup or he's off the deed or the title, or the other possibilities, you have to find another way to get that money guaranteed to you.
Okay, there's no way I can do maybe like an LLC or something like that.
You're asking me a legal question now, and don't be a cheapskate. Call a lawyer.
No. Yeah, okay. I was just kind of curious. I mean, I definitely don't want him to get into, he doesn't want to do prenups.
You're asking the right question. I'll give you credit for asking the right question, but you have to ask the right person, and that's a lawyer.
Okay.
So you need to talk to maybe a real estate attorney about that. Yeah.
Well, I'm just glad you brought this whole thing up because, I've seen my dad get, reamed over a little bit and quite a few friends get reamed over. And I'm just glad you brought this whole thing up today. I was just kind of going over this stuff today about this whole financial thing and just glad what
I mean, women are getting their claws into 401ks and IRAs and real estate you bought years ago that you forgot you had and stock options and you name it. I mean, suddenly you find yourself retiring and some chick you haven't seen in 30 years is laying claim to your Social Security payments.
Exactly. And that's one thing I'd never want to do, and that's prenup all the time.
Or, by the way, pal, you don't need to get married.
Right.
You don't need to get married.
I believe in that 100%.
Every time I see a story like this, it's like, why are guys falling for this? Don't get married. Say no.
Exactly. And I'm just, appreciate everything you do out here, for everybody on the radio, put all this information out there.
Yeah.
Just hope everyone kind of, abides by the rules and goes by it. So, thanks a lot, Tom. I appreciate it.
Brendan, thank you. This is McKay on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tommy Kins. I'm so happy to talk to you, and I just wanted to say thank you for doing this segment today because I've never really understood exactly why you told men not to get married, but now I get it. This is exactly why. Women on the offensive end of these prenups they drive me crazy, and I don't get it. And I'm 22, and I can honestly say I will never get married. Ever.
Well, as I always tell women on this show, there's a benefit to women to get married. Look at all that stuff you can get. You can get a lot of cash and prizes when you leave.
That is true. It's like a like a game show, but who wants to do that? Who wants to be that?
By the way, just so you know, here's how it works. Let's say you're really mad at your husband, and you decide you're gonna get him, you're gonna nail him. See, you could be in the living room of your home and have sex with his best friend right there, and he walks to the front door and he sees the two of you going at it, okay?
Right.
Then you could file for divorce and then take him for everything he's got.
Yeah, it's very backwards. I agree.
That's how it
It's a terrible
works.
system.
Yes.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much. You make so much sense. I love it.
Thank you, McKay.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate the call. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. This is Daniel on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Daniel.
Hey, I've got a quick question for you. What do you think about vagina mold? Is it going to keep getting worse in the near future? Or
Yes, I do.
Better?
I think it's going to get worse. But again, the way to make it get better is if men boycott marriage.
Yeah. Your radio is actually helping a lot in that.
That will solve the problem. If less men get married, laws will have to change. If women want us to get married, they're going to have to pressure their legislators to make laws that are more fair to men. But right now, it makes no sense for men to get married. No sense at all.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for answering my question.
Daniel, thank you. 1-800-5800-TOM. This is Matt on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How you doing today?
I'm okay, Matt.
Tom, I listened to about 10, 15 seconds of the show right when I got in my car today, and I said, you didn't say a word about where it came from, but I immediately recognized it. I said, Tom's talking about this Smart Money article. I picked up the phone and called you in and finally was confirmed on the phone line. I'm going through a divorce right now myself, and I'm a lawyer who's done some practice in family law, so I've seen this issue from a lot of different sides, but none as stark and as jarring as going through it myself. And the conclusion that I have come through in now going through this process and doing a lot more detailed legal research in the fact, laws, before you even get married, what you were saying essentially, and you've mentioned this in not so many terms, but is with this wing I.V. red. No, what you're really saying is I hereby agree to subject all of my worldly belongings to the insane whims and compromises of 400 years of partisan agendas being pushed through into law, and and I agreed to have that presided over by an indifferent public servant who makes the same money whether he destroys your life or not.
Or even worse, one with an agenda, like a feminist judge or somebody who's female and feels sorry for the chick you married or whatever. You don't know who you're getting. You don't know who's going to take control of all your wealth, everything you've ever worked for.
And Tom, all right, there's two histories kind of in our common law system. One is legal and the other is equitable. And here in American courts, they're combined. Legal is, hey, you have to do A, B, and C and D results. Did you do A, B, and C? Okay, then D. If not B, then not D. And we don't care what kind of insane repercussions that creates. Equity means, hey, go ahead, let's all hold hands and do what's fair. And that seems to... it hurts our feelings less because it seems like it creates less extreme results. But what you do is you say, exactly like you just mentioned, hey, judge with an agenda, here is full reign to do whatever the hell you want. And that is exactly what family courts are. Family courts are a bastion of equity where the judges have free reign to do whatever they want. The divorce I'm going through right now, I make the person I'm getting divorced from, whom I'm getting divorced, is also an attorney, and I work for the government. She works for the private sector, so she makes close to double what I make. Nonetheless, and I have our kids. I have two kids. I have them 40% of the time. She has them 60% of the time. Nonetheless, I'm paying her close to $1,000 a month in child support. Plus, I'm covering half of her daycare costs. Plus, during the pendency, while I'm waiting for the trial, I get to continue to pay her car insurance. I get to continue to pay for her car. I get to continue to pay for her cell phone. Whatever the status of the bills was when...
By the way, had you just had kids with her and didn't marry her, all you'd be paying is child support.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So for those of you out there who think, I have to have kids, there's no prerequisite. And since I've gone through this experience, and frankly, since I started listening to your show and kind of come to these conclusions about marriage, in dating after the separation, it's amazing the reaction that women have when they start talking about marriage, and you just flatly say, look, no, I would never do that. Well, why wouldn't you want to? You're just jaded because you're divorced. And it's like, look, number one, all you're doing is, as I said previously, is saying, hey, feminists with an agenda, here's all of my bank account numbers, have fun. The other thing is, and this is something I haven't heard you mention, but I've only been listening a couple months because I've only been in a market that has you, is that all of the non-material benefits of marriage accrue to women. I mean, think about it. If women hear that one of their friends is getting married, it's, oh, Susie's getting married, isn't that great? Let's all go spend money on crap and get drunk and run around. When you hear one of your buddies is getting married, it's like, hey, dude, congratulations, that's great. Oh, man, can you believe he's going to marry her? Without exception. And that scene is, I think that is the seed that would make a great screenplay. Like, no kidding, this is what really goes on. Let's look at the conversation of a guy's buddies when he announces he's getting married. I can honestly say, and I've been around 33 years, and so for the last 10, I've seen people getting married. I can honestly say I don't know a single time where two guys talking about one of their friends says, hey, man, that's great, Phil's getting married, I'm really excited about that. Because it's not. You're like, dude, he got her. He got him. She got him.
No, it's not great. And guys have got to stop doing it. And you're a perfect example. Here you are having to pay all these expenses of your ex-wife, plus you pay her child support. You could have had a kid with her, not married her, and then you just pay her the child support, and that's it, done. It's terrible. Thanks for the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. It's Carrie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Great.
I just wanted to say that I, as a female, am a big proponent of the prenup agreement simply because I'm heading into a field that's going to be rather lucrative for me, and I need to protect myself as well. So, I mean, I'm not anti-marriage. I don't know if I want to get married now. I'm only 25 years old. I mean, it's too young to be thinking about all that. But I think these poor guys are getting screwed. You know, they work their asses off to develop these pension plans, and they get taken for all they're worth.
I think guys have no idea. Well, what do I need to protect? I don't have anything. You don't have anything, but just about everybody I know contributes to a 401k at work.
I do. Or
they have a Roth IRA or something like that. Everybody pays into Social Security and will get that someday. Well, guess what? The person you marry can lay claim to all that stuff if you get divorced.
Exactly, and I just think it's easier. I'm somebody who's pro-separate checking accounts, pro-everything. That way, when you get out, if you get out, you get exactly what you came in with, and nothing more, nothing less. And I think everybody, if women want to stay home and be the homemaker and everything, that's all well and good. But I'm sorry, I am somebody who's always been taught from early on, if you want something in life, you need to work for it. You need to have a job, and you need to take care of yourself. So I don't think anybody, men or women, should be screwed out of something they've rightly worked for all these years when they get divorced.
Carrie, thank you for that. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. Rachel on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. Love your show.
Thank you.
I had a quick question for you. I am a married woman, obviously, and I make significantly more money than my husband and have gotten a very nice 401k myself. And I was wondering if we ever did get a divorce, if I could possibly get screwed by the alimony problem.
You could. I think it's less likely, but yes, you could.
Okay, because I was curious about that because I certainly don't agree with the way the laws are now. And I didn't know if it applied the same way to a female as it does to a male.
Well, of course, on paper it does, and it's supposed to. And how many years have you been married?
4.
Right, because I tell everybody, in California, when you get to 10 years, alimony is forever.
Right. Okay, well, that's interesting thought. Hopefully your female listeners will learn something from this.
You better make sure this is the guy you want to be buried next to. And if he isn't, it's time to get out before it costs you any more money. Just remember, you will pay a day of alimony for every 2 days you stay with him.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for the information, Tom.
Rachel, I'm here to help.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-866.
We don't dump you because you're a slut. God damn it. Men live for sluts.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
From Hollywood, it's the Tom Leykis Show. Coming to you from the lot at Paramount Pictures here on Melrose Avenue in Hollywood. That's where we are. And we're talking about an article several of you sent to me from Smart Money magazine. It's at smartmoney.com. It's called Women Are Seeing More Parity in Divorces. And just more evidence that guys, at the very least, have to have a prenup when they get married. And frankly, I think you shouldn't get married at all. Women now are more successful at getting your 401k, your IRA, your stock options, ownership of your company, your real estate, and a bigger chunk of what you make. It's getting worse, and this article proves it. It's what I tell you all the time, boys. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Jacob, hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. Quick question for you. I work at a Fortune 100 company, and every company I've ever worked for prior to this has made me sign an arbitration agreement that says that for whatever reason, if I choose to sue the company, that I don't get to go in front of some whacked-out judge. I get to go to an arbiter who's going to view both sides equally and fairly and do what's right for all. How come this concept has not been applied to marriage?
Well, there are arbitrators for marriage. There are mediators. That does exist. But again, the problem is you never know what is fair. You know, do you really want to put all your assets up in front of a complete stranger and let them decide what's fair for you to keep?
No, I'm a young, successful guy. I work hard for my money, and I'm not hurting at all. And so I'm real interested in this concept. Is this something that is?
Well, you have to. See, the thing is, you do not
disclosed in a prenup or something.
Well, that's something you got to talk to an attorney about. But I would tell you, why do you need to get married?
Well, I'm not yet, not even close to it.
Why would you ever? Why would you? Why would you ever need to get married?
You know, some of my folks and some of my family members got married off shotgun weddings, and I'm not a big fan of getting shot. That's the only circumstance I could see it coming down to right now, Tom.
Well, you know, don't be knocking up any chicks.
No, that's the furthest thing from what I want right now, Tom.
But don't do it, okay? I mean, it's condoms 100% of the time.
There's one in the car, there's one in the kitchen, there's one in the bathroom, just about every room in the house. And
if a chick tells you that if the condom slips, she'd have the baby, get the hell out of there. It means she's trying to get pregnant.
First time, long time. I understand. I'm with you, Tommy. I just wanted to know about the arbitration, friend. That's
the deal. Talk to an attorney because there is mediation, and that is a provision. You can put into a prenup, but I don't know the details. I don't know how enforceable it is, so you need to talk to an attorney about that. I have 12 great attorneys, and I depend on them all the time for information like that. And it's a good idea for you to start doing the same. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Let's say hello to Tyler on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Great.
I just want to say, hasn't it become apparent to everyone in the United States that we have the symptoms of a sick society when we have all these frivolous lawsuits? The government's kind of so involved in marriage that I believe a lot of marriages just happen out of women, like you say, trying to score some money, you know, trying to get gold diggers. And what's happened is we have all these children, you know, these illegitimate children, whatever, however you want to call them, that don't have two parents. And I do believe in monogamy because I think it has some benefits for society, such as, you know, STDs, kids that are raised with two parents, a little bit more stable. I believe in that. And I want to say that...
Well, that's a benefit to others, but that's not a benefit to a man.
You're right. But, okay, as far as, like, marriage as an institution, aren't there different rules across the world? I mean, if you got married in Japan or China, don't they have...
Doesn't matter where you get married. It matters where you get divorced.
Exactly, okay? Our divorce laws need to change. I mean, somebody has to do something because the way
they're not going to change until they're not going to change until a significant number of men refuse to get married.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I guarantee you, women are not political. But if women all of a sudden turn around and they couldn't find any men to marry them, they'd suddenly find out who their senator and congressman are.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think women are starting to get more political, because we have like Hillary running for president. That's like a new thing. Obviously, they're getting a little bit more into politics because they see the benefit of being politically influential, and they're using. By
the way, I don't happen to agree that women are getting more involved in politics, but that's beside the point.
Well, okay, then what is it? Just men aren't? What, are we not motivated enough to go out there and change it? Because I mean, obviously, supposedly we have all the power.
Well, keep in mind, the majority of voters are women, but the reason for that is because women live longer than men, and the older people get, the more likely it is they vote.
Well, I'm going to have to make sure all my bros get out there and vote. Maybe I'll throw some frat parties or something, go out and start petitioning for my brothers to get out there and do something about this, because I mean, both my parents were married for 30 years. That doesn't make it, times have changed. You're right. And I'm definitely not going to get married. I'm in the medical field. I'm not going to screw myself over.
Yeah, you know what happens when you have a medical practice and you form a medical corporation? That's a company. And if you're married when you do that, guess what? Your wife could lay a claim to half of your business. Suddenly you've got that partner who is your partner long after you're divorced.
Yeah, and I already have enough problems with lawsuits and insurance. I don't deal with women on top of that and getting all my assets taken away from me. Which I agree that today's society it is suicidal. It's financial suicide to get married, and I think that everyone needs to know that.
I agree with you on all of that. Kara on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Great.
Well, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think girls are completely scandalous. I moved here from Kansas 4 years ago, and I live in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, and all the girls out here are just out to get married and take guys for their money, and it's ridiculous. I'm dating a lawyer right now, and I told him, if we get married, I'm signing a prenup, and he insists that I don't sign one, and I want to, and he doesn't get it.
Who does he think he is, Paul McCartney?
I don't know. He's not incredibly successful, but I think he will be eventually. But I'm not going to be that girl. I completely support myself, take care of myself, and do a great job at it. And he just does not understand why I want a prenup. Girls don't understand that prenups can work in their favor also.
Right.
Like, are they not smart?
Well, that's my point. I've said this many times. I mean, prenups don't say necessarily that you're getting absolutely nothing. For example, if you're going to be raising a man's kids, you could say in a prenup, I want $40,000 a year put aside for me because I'm quitting my career to raise your kids.
Well, and not only that...
You could put that in there. Now, the guy might say no and then not marry you, but at least if you get married, you know what you're going to get. It's in writing, and then later on, there's no debating it.
And I completely agree with that. And in addition to that, he owns a home and in Scottsdale and all this stuff. I don't want any part of that. I don't want to be that girl that takes a guy for whatever if it doesn't work out. I'm not like that. And I get pissed off at all these girls out here that are so plastic and BS that give us good girls a bad.
Well, it has nothing to do with geography. What it has to do with is whether women are super attractive or not. What happens when women are super attractive?
I would like to say I'm super attractive.
Well, again, though, you left, as a super attractive woman from Kansas, you left Kansas, and you left all the women who look like sausages behind in Kansas, and you went to Arizona where the hot chicks are. So anywhere there are hot chicks, this is what you're going to see. I'm sure women in Kansas wouldn't do this because most women in Kansas, you wouldn't want to look at them.
Well, yeah, and most women in Kansas aren't going to get anything either.
Right.
But, it's frustrating. I'm 26 years old, I'm a good-looking girl, and I just want an honest, good relationship without any of the financial ties. I don't understand why it's so difficult.
Believe me, I completely agree with you. I wish I met more women like you, Kara, but I don't. Christina on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to say to every man that is listening and every woman, a prenuptial agreement and first of all, a marriage is a legally binding agreement that you have with somebody. It's not just I love you. Love is not enough. When you're getting married, that's when everybody's on their best behavior and everybody's happy-go-lucky. At the end of it is when you're going to see their horribly bad side. So when I hear guys saying, oh, but we love each other, we're never getting divorced, that is just absolutely 100% foolish. Every man, first of all, needs to get a prenuptial agreement, as well as women, just for the reasons you just stated. You can write anything you want in a prenuptial agreement. That way you know there's no fighting at the time. You guys can sit down like rational humans and write down what's going to happen if something goes bad. That's just like not buying life insurance because you're not going to die prematurely. Number two is, I am a huge proponent of this. Keep your finances separate. That way, if you're a guy and you want to go blow $200 at a club or something like that, you don't have to come home and hear screaming because you just spent that much money. If you're a woman and you want to go buy a $200 pair of shoes, you don't have to hear it from your husband. If you keep your finances separate, you have no problems. When you go on vacation, pay your own way. That's how it should be. Period. End of sentence. Done. Anybody who does it any other way is just foolish and setting themselves up for disaster.
I agree with you. Darren, on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
The ratings, my paycheck.
Excellent.
Wow.
How about your... Oh, never mind. Hey, I just want to say I'm more successful now having been married, or actually being married as I am now, and with kids than I ever was, and I probably ever would have been had I not.
Why would you say that?
Well, basically before I got married, I was kind of just... I don't want to say a loser, but I didn't really have any drive. I didn't really have any ambition. I was going to class. I was at college. I wasn't really focused on anything. I met my future wife, who actually happened to, this was back in Tucson. I was living in Tucson. She had just graduated from medical school out there. And at the time, I was working like as a janitor, as an OR tech in a local hospital out there. And I had, no drive, no desire, no whatever. And anyway, I got my girlfriend at the time pregnant, and I realized that I had to go back to school. So that being said, that was kind of the, I guess, the catalyst to get me back and get the degree. Finished the degree, got the master's, all while my wife was working and supporting me while I was doing this. And now I make more than I probably ever thought I would make. And, 7 years later,
That's because you have to.
Well, had I not well, listen, if I would have taken your advice, if I would have been listening to you 10 years ago, spending, $40 max on a girl and not getting her pregnant and not ever desiring marriage, it's not about, I would have to agree with you that the majority of people out there have no right to be married and shouldn't be married, and a lot of women out there are the wrong person to be marrying, and unfortunately, a lot of people fall into that predicament, and, the result is divorce and women taking, half the guy's money. However, if you look at it as like a business where if you're a sole proprietor, you can take all the risk, you do everything all on your own. If you have partners in your business, then, it becomes successful. You have other minds thinking about things. You have other problem solvers. It's the same thing with marriage. If you find
That's not necessarily true.
That isn't. Well, that's not necessarily true for everybody, but in my case, it's absolutely 100%
That's just because you were a complete loser, and then you, as part of being a loser, you knocked up your girlfriend, and then you had to step up to the plate, and you had to learn how to make more money to pay for all this.
So that makes me a loser because I take care of my kids?
No, you were a loser to begin with, okay? And the fact is that getting your girlfriend pregnant was part of being a loser. Okay, so this is what made you get up off your ass, the fact that if you didn't get up off your ass, you would not be able to support your kid.
Well, either way, the end justifies the means.
Not necessarily, because you could have just...
Case, it has to.
How much more money do you have now than when you were a drifting loser?
What, I'm sorry?
How much money is actually yours that you have now as opposed to when you were a drifting loser?
Well, if the laws go in reverse, it's a two-way street where I get half of her stuff, she gets half of my stuff. Apparently, I'm married to a physician, so, granted, I get that income as well.
Good luck on that. Unbelievable.
The Tom Leykis Show.